Okay, like the public's still a bunch of pedos and don't care like how they present stories. This one came on TV the other night, and it's weirdly strange to another story that recently happened that I was like on top of because I said it was really familiar to me because of the incidents, like when I was a kid. First of all, we're gonna start like this. A child predator with a kid is not girlfriend and boyfriend, and the public keeps saying it, and it's really annoying. I am actually calling for this case to be relooked at because the idiots on it, the cops are a bunch of pedos, and they put all the blame on this little girl. She's no longer a little girl. What ultimately happened at the end of the story is she ends up murdering her child predator, and then she decapitated him because from their version, when the cops came and asked him some questions, did you last see him? And she's like, no. And I think they freaked out. This is the version that they gave. They freaked out and then they went over there and then for whatever reason she cut off his head and put his head somewhere else. I guess in their brain, because they also got into drugs, but the allegedly from this perpetrator, then hit it maybe thinking that they're not going to identify the guy. But I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm a logical person. I would never do this crime. But if I did this crime, it's the if I did it OG. And I didn't. I was like, I didn't. But if I did this crime and I'm worried about getting caught and you killed him in a location where he's totally secluded, why then wouldn't you just go back and bury him? Like nobody's there, right? But maybe they didn't. I mean, I would think doing the decap thing would be a lot more of a job than just bury the dude. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna find that. But this is their alleged thing. It wasn't out of, it could have been also, they could have lied about the secondary version of how that happened, and they may have done it on the first night anyway. But the MO to it is because he's her child predator. The people in the story, they try to paint this family as some lovely, wholesome Christian family, and yet they harbored a runaway, which was this girl. Did they call authorities? Absolutely not. Instead, the mother allowed her adult son to prey on a child there. So that's basically child human trafficking because she didn't stop it. She didn't report it. They ended up being together for 20 freaking years. Yes, that's very common for people like that, mostly when everybody around them is enabling it. So she was a hot mess. She was saying that they got her on crack, but when they're telling the story, these pedo cops on Oxygen, which is a nightmare channel to begin with, and they hate women so much, I absolutely hate watching because they added in here like this. They're like, then she met this other guy, and she went to bed with them on the first night that they met, and it's like this has like no relevance to the story whatsoever, none other than that she hooked up with some other guy and this guy assists in this crime. That guy looks like a pedo too, but he assists in this crime. It's like, what idiot is this? You're just finding random people that are going to go murder people or help you out. I mean, this is country bumpkinville somewhere. But that's actually the story. And instead of the mother that harbored the child, she didn't get in trouble. He didn't get in trouble. It seems the cops knew about this adult predator on her. So everybody seems to be in the know, and they keep trying to deny they're a bunch of pedos, but they've always been pedos. Presentation. Now watch what the media did with this story, which will throw you for a loop if you don't do some math. And it was interesting, the initial presentation to it, because you're like, man, this girl's totally crazy. Well, if you knew the truth of the story in the proper context, you would be like, there's a lot more to it. Basically, the cops, the parents, everybody in here allowed her to get sexually abused by an adult. That's the truth. That's unhealthy. And someone's not going to come out okay. And so in this case, you should feel a little bad for her because this is where nobody came in to protect. Presentation. So in the media in 2013, they threw this story out there. They go, this 35-year-old woman. So now you're not even thinking child victim, nothing. They don't say the age of the guy she killed. They go, been convicted in the death of decapitation of her longtime boyfriend. You would be like, God, whoa, horrible human, like this whole thing, right? Not promoting what happened here, but when you get the details of it, you should be horrified. So after a week-long jury, they found her guilty, okay, of that. But Smith's boyfriend, so they're calling her child predator in a home where is not her family. They say his name, John, was reported missing by his family, blah, blah, but they don't say his age. You're like, okay. And they go, after investigators questioned Smith, her friend, Timothy, that's the guy she ended up with later, fled. She was tracked down at her mother's house in Greenville area May 25th. Okay, Newberry County investigators said Wise took them to the decapitated mayor's body on May 25th. Yeah, so he was there, he had knowledge, and he outs the whole situation, basically. Then Wise told investigators that Smith had shot him. Investigators said Smith initially confessed to shooting him while Wise was present, saying she did it in self-defense. Probably in her mind, because she's a child victim to the guy, and she's like trying to get rid of him. Like there was a whole thing to this. So she later recanted her confession, saying Wise shot him, which is probably by the advice of her lawyer or whatever. I don't know, just nonsense. So at the time of the arrest, they say despite a restraining order that she had against him. Okay, so she got a restraining order to keep this guy away from her. So it's showing you this perpetrator keeps coming around and she's trying to get rid of him. And finally, she's like, you know what? I want to get out of this whole situation. She's been under a dynamic here that was where he should have been in prison to begin with, right? They go, her boyfriend of 20 years. But in your mind, when you're reading this, you guys, your brain might go high school sweethearts, right? You might, if you're thinking of math, but I don't even think people were thinking of math. 20 years. How old is she? 35 minus 20. She's under the AOC ages anywhere. And you don't know his age, so you don't connect the dots. It's like the Bible, the way the presentation is, but they're all children, right? So you're reading it and it's almost purposely written this way. It would have to be, because at no time are they going, he was 10 years older, whatever. They're not saying it. Then you're going to go, oh, that's not a boyfriend. That's a child predator. But it's not there, right? I'm reading it. It's not there. The presentation was meant to make her look like the worst person in the room. And the way they were talking about it, like, she's just a runaway, nasty, all this. But then it tells you in the story, they're like, she ran away from home because she was getting neglected. And then these predators somehow take her in, and then the mom lets her son sexually abuse her, period. And then they start mocking her stories of human trafficking. I go, well, it is child human trafficking, just with him. So it's not away from what's actually happening here. We don't know. There probably was additions. And they said for crack. I go, well, they must be doing drugs because she got a restraining order. So if you got a restraining order on you to stay away from somebody, would you break it? Only psychotics would. But she's asking him to break it. I would feel like someone's setting me up, right? Wouldn't you guys? If the person that has a legal thing, so if I show up, they'll get me arrested. And so he decides that he's going to totally ignore it. And so she takes advantage of it and then kills him. That's what happened. But they put all the blame on her. And I'm just like, well, if you go back to the initial part of the story, the whole family's acting dumb up here. They're like, why would you do that? And it's like, oh, I don't know. Are you guys all a bunch of pedos? Yeah, everybody in the story is a pedo. Everybody in the story that was on oxygen is pro-pedo. And so in their brain, they're like, why would anybody have these kinds of problems? It's like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, it was really weird because it's like a child predator gets her, rapes her as a kid. Oh, we're not going to say the word rape, right? They go like this. She must have had a crush on him and fell in love. I'm like, that's called grooming. And even if she did have that, there's a child predator here that then went on a kid. Right? Presentation. Presentation. But I'm asking that this case would be relooked at because, oh my God, Kim K wanted to go after that one with the human trafficking thing. I almost think this case is worse because you're talking 20 years she's forced to be with the child predator. And she can't get rid of him. And resorts to this garbage. I'm not saying any of this is healthy or right or, anything like that. But it definitely came from the place of that. And it isn't just some random, like, I'm just going to go kill people. It isn't that case, you guys. So this one, it's really bad. And you're not going to come out okay. From the story, you're just not going to come out okay. And the hillbilly cops are like, she went through things at no 13. You're she, like sex shaming her, blaming her for the guy being on her. And he's now the child predator is a victim. I go, he just violated a restraining order. I don't know why he's that dumb, but you know what I mean? But they were saying something about crack, and I go, oh, I can guarantee that was part of in this whole thing. Because her brain ain't operating properly, mostly with the decapitation. I was like, yeah, it has to be somebody that just isn't, like, they watch too much TV, and, I mean, you could have I'm not saying you should go bury people and try to hide bodies, but I'm just saying the mindset of the choices in the cover-up is just ridiculous. It's like they watch TV, oh, just chop his head off, they won't figure out who it is. They didn't even take the fingers, It's just like this weird thing. I was like, God, that seems like more work than just, cover them with some brush. I mean, I don't know. But that's their version. I was just, that you kind of get the mentality by how they do things. So I was kind of going through that too. So I was like, yeah, drugs probably, lacking education. But you would, because she's in the house. Why? How did she come out this bad? If you're in a new house, and this family is supposedly helping you, why should she come out this bad? What happened? Well, that's because she's in a home of hell. It's a house of hell. And she came out trying to get out of it, but you see, the cops are pedos. They promoted it. They sex shamed her. They did all these things, and then, that's not going to go well. But yeah, that family's ridiculous going on TV like that. Oh, we're victims. I was like, you ain't no damn victim. You guys set that little kid up to get raped by your son? That's disgusting. And y'all should have been arrested. Yeah, so please, somebody relook at this case. This is one of those ones. It's just a weird one. Presentation. This was awful. The media did this. And then they go, they admitted going back to the scene of the shooting, removing his head, placing it in a 5-gallon bucket. Maybe that was even his idea. Because it's just a really ridiculous move. It's just, I guess they thought that if they find the body, they won't know it's his. Like, they're both stupid, right? It's just a knee-jerk action there. So then, but like I said, title and then the presentation, it sounds, they were like, do we have another Jeffrey? Is it this one? They have another Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh no, that was another. I think that was the other case. There was another case. The woman was definitely mentally ill, and they were mocking mental illness. Just because you could sit there and say, like, if you went and just killed somebody for money, it's telling everybody you have a mental illness, like you have a disorder, like something's wrong with you. You don't connect to humans. You are homicidal. Blah 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 blah. Right. So they definitely do have other issues. And that other woman that they had on that day was like, we hate women day. And they just showed all the cases of all the terrible women. There was only one case on there particularly where I was like, oh God, this woman is scary as hell, like socio hell. And like legit, like there wasn't a tale off of, I got raped as a child from this perpetrator and I kill him. Like, some weird story like that. It was this lady who like married this old black man. Okay, so he was diabetic. And I guess at some point, she wants to murder him because he's cheating on her. Maybe because she is psycho. Yeah, maybe. And then they were supposed to get divorced, and then she doesn't divorce him, but then she wants to murder him. And then everything was like, at the end, it was all a gaslight. Like she's telling everybody like he lit himself on fire. And they ignore the fact, there was one additional feature to this, is that they were saying, oh yeah, my dad got delusional like one day, and blaming it on the diabetes or something. And then they later go like this, and I was like, oh, did you guys really miss this? They're like, she loved him so much, she cooked for him every day. And I'm like, well, if he ended up in a diabetic fit, then that's her doing it on purpose, because who's feeding him, right? They missed it. And then the day she lit him on fire, she was trying to get an alibi. I believe she was trying to get it was either one of two things here, you guys. You know how people poison their partner sometimes? That happens. Well, here it just became a thing where she's a nurse. She's a nurse. I think she was a nurse. She knew that you could die from those diabetic fits. So I believe she was trying to do that, and it didn't work. And so then I think she premeditated that she was going to murder him. So one of the things to do is try to drive him to the hospital to show, oh, he's having a fit today. Oh man, he's not doing well. So then by the evening, when she goes and lights him on fire, then she'd be, man, he did that to himself. I just brought him in earlier. But he wouldn't get out of the car. She said he wouldn't get out of the vehicle. And I go, that's right. So it's weird. She tells the truth, but then flips it and says it wasn't me. Like, I drove him. I forced him to go to the hospital, but he wouldn't get out of the vehicle. So I drove him back home. And then he tells everybody I did it. So she starts playing with the truth. He tells everybody I did it, but it's him. He's delusional. He's delusional. And their stupid family believes that she didn't mean to kill him. And I'm sitting here going, wait, they actually jumped over the part where she's trying to like kill him through the diabetes thing. And then it didn't work. And he's having these weird delusional things. And you guys just said she cooks for him. They literally missed this. And she gets to get the court believe a portion of this to like the point because he was cheating on her. Like there's some justification for this. And then they said that she's going to get out in the year 2028. She's going to be 80 years old if she lives. And I'm just like, oh God, no. Make sure no old man is around her. Oh God, no. Because she is a socio. Like that is just the brain of them. And that's a female version. And it went on for a while, it looked like. So I was like, yeah, I mean, if you're talking about they were going to divorce in 2005 and then she goes and does that crap. And no, it's like, why don't you leave, right? Oh, she's not going to get no money. So now she's like chasing everybody, being a psycho. And nobody did any, I mean, she could have left. She could have got a divorce. She could have done anything. She could have fought to get some money from me. You probably would have paid her and left. But no. And then she lied to them about the story. And then no, she's hella dangerous. She's not a fixable human. That one, I was like, she's trying to murder him through food. Yeah, so how do you figure that out, right? It's not poison, but it is poison to a diabetic. And if you're in the medical field, you know ways to do things to kill people without it being a foreign substance. How psychotic is that? But they missed it. I'm just saying, they missed it. They're stupid on there. I don't know. I was just sitting back going, I'm horrified. And then they're talking about these moments where he's having, and I go, oh, that's really scary. She'd been trying to take him out for a long time. She tells you because she drove him to the hospital. He wouldn't get out. He's like, I am not. He's like on her trip, right? So then, yes, can somebody please look at this case over again and take a hard look at it and charge anybody if they can that's still alive on this case? Like the parents that harbored her and allowed their older son to rape a child. I cannot believe that. You cannot do this. They're not boyfriends. Case, the D for David. The dick. Okay. The D case. Okay. This investigator is throwing me off so bad. He was throwing Nancy Grace off, and then Nancy Grace threw me off. Okay, here's what happened. Initially, I heard about this story because I seen something in the media where someone's all, there was a girl that looks just like Celeste that they think that they were presenting to cover up for her. And I wouldn't disregard it. And I still stand to it to this day. So they show a photo of this girl that they believed was her in August 4th. But they're talking August 4th, and they go, well, the car never moved since July 29th. Well, I'm like, well, if you think she was seen August 4th, then it was definitely not her July 29th dead in the vehicle. So I'm sitting here all confused, and I finally search Google, and AI tells me, oh, TMZ throws the picture out, but it's actually false and not her, and they went and checked these people. I go, okay, yeah, that's fact verification. So it was weird because the girl does look similar to her, is wearing similar clothing that the young girl in this case was wearing. Is it coincidental? Sure. You could go, how many girls have curly hair that look like that? Wearing a tank top, a black, tube top like thing, and ripped jeans. I mean, it's so generic, really, but then again, I never dressed like that, and I didn't have my hair curly like that, and in this a similar length type of thing. So I was kind of like, I wouldn't disregard it. It could be, but I think they've talked to that person, but apparently that's not her. So my thinking in the case is that she was dead for a very, very long time, like long time. So then that threw me off. I was like, well, if she's seen it August 4th, then I can't say anything, because then it would lead to a whole different scenario of stories. So what was the problems in here? So the investigator was making some claims that he couldn't really make, and I don't know why he did, but I think one of them was, he said there was a video camera from someone's house. You cannot tell a vehicle's dirty or not from a house cam. Sorry, but we had it too, and no. It may not have been as dirty as it's looking now, but the security cams don't show it that well. My car was filthy as hell, and you couldn't really tell from the camera. So a lawyer would have a heyday with that, unless it was like a personal video and they were showing the inside of the car and the outside, and it was totally fine. But he did say in January there was a video of the back of the vehicle where the dent was already there, but he doesn't tell you the date. And Nancy overlooked that and didn't ask him what date in January, because she was last seen, I guess, on January 2nd. So that is important, because the dent could be part of the crime. So, what was the other thing? Yeah, you can't tell how dirty a car is from a house cam. That's just ridiculous. Okay, so then okay, talked about the girl that looked like her. Okay, okay, is it a coincidence? Yeah, we don't know. Oh, so they were claiming there was no wheel wells. Okay, when we went through the Chase Merritt thing, what was really interesting, my brain went to Victorville, and they're actually down in Lake Elsinore or something like that, towards the riverside. There's another area that's about an hour and something south. But they have to go on the same freeway though, like the 15, like there's some things to this. So I don't know if it has any relation to that, like the areas there. I just want to mention this because some people know that if you go out to the Mojave Desert, it is not surveillanced. For right now, I don't know if they finally started to, but from the time of the case, when I was going through the Chase part, they said they don't do it because they don't have enough funds to surveillance that area. But then they go, oh, this is where they dump tons of women's bodies all the time. And I'm like, wow, if you knew that, why isn't it surveillance? I mean, hello. They're just a bunch of sex workers. We don't give a shit. Okay, they were doing this. So that is one actual popular area allegedly out in the Victorville area. One of the things is if she was mutilated in any fashion, I would honestly think that any evidence in that house, they would have never opened up that crime scene to anybody. That's what they're asking. I was like, even if they did collect it, they have no evidence of it. There would be evidence of a mutilation. I mean, just regardless, it's a very messy scene. If in fact there was no wheel, the thing with the car, as I was looking at it the same way we did on Chase's case, there's no mud, underneath the tires and against the inner part of the walls of the vehicle. Why would you have the whole other car dirty and then you were like totally scrubbing that down or something? It just didn't happen. Which all that means is that if they drove into a dirty, dusty road, like a muddy road, it would be seen. It was not seen. Why is there no wheel wells? I can't answer for why there's no wheel wells. It may have had to do with, well, if they hit her and ran her over, and there was blood evidence on something like that, you would, it's possible, but I can't tell you why somebody wouldn't have wheel wells there. The dent on the back of the vehicle looks peculiar, because, it could be, I mean, I'm not the dent expert. It's just I've been hit a couple times, but it depends. So if a vehicle is higher up than the Tesla, I suppose you could have a dent like that in the back. But I would think that it would do more damage even on the bottom part of it. There could be different reasons for that dent. We don't know how the dent was done. Okay. I would almost think that they would have to like really look at that dent if they could tell it was human created or object created or another vehicle created. Somebody could have taken a sledgehammer and hit the back. Okay, that's another way that dent could happen. I have no idea, but it's peculiar. So I was like, okay. So what they said was, and what's important in this, because some people are just filthy. Okay, if you see my car right now, I was like, no, I'm not filthy, but the fact is that the weather, okay, so the weather was important to the case. So in January, after the 2nd, it was between January 7th through the 31st, there was fires, right? There was fires all around LA. And one of the big fires actually started going down into the Hollywood Hills, right? And I was like, oh, that's how our cars looked actually when the fires were going on. And if you didn't wash your car from then, it would look like that. So I don't trust the camera that they're talking about, but you know, who knows? I'd have to see it to know what he's talking about. But it's unlikely. It's unlikely it would be able to tell that the car is like spotless. Okay, you guys. But when the fires were going on, our vehicles outside, and I wasn't even near the Hollywood Hills area, looked just like that. The suit, and there's tons of stuff on that car. Like it looks like speckled. Doesn't mean it's in the desert. It was that bad out here. And then what followed that in the springtime was gusty wind stuff. And man, I went out to my car and I was like, holy crap. And so I had to rinse it down, right? So this did happen between the months of January till I left over there, you know, around the time that they're saying they last seen the car move. We'll put it like that. So I was paying attention to my vehicle. And in between that, there was not a lot of rain. There was some rain. On the vehicle, what it was showing, you have to kind of pay attention to the weather thing. So when your car's already dirty, when it's already dirty and a rain comes, so you'll see those dirty drops and they're all over the vehicle. So it tells you a couple things. So it tells you by the time it rained, the car was already filthy as sin, okay? And then whatever date a sprinkle came by the time they got the vehicle is telling you some further information. Because maybe that sprinkle didn't happen in July. Maybe it happened in June, right? So then you would look at the weather. We had to do this on the Chase case. I'm never doing this again. But I had to literally go through years back on the weather patterns for this 1 week. Very detailed stuff, you guys. And I wasn't getting paid and it was a lot of free time. So I'm just saying, we know because we looked at that. So I was like, yeah, so a number of things. They didn't drive in mud. Could they have driven in dirty things? Yeah, but the outer part of the vehicle was actually very common out here in LA because of the, number one, the fires, and then also later the high wind thing that was going on and whatnot. And then somehow it sprinkled on top of that filth. But there's a lot of sooty Stuff on the Tesla. So, I'm trying to figure it out. But there was a fire out in the Hollywood Hills. So I'm like, is that the last time they washed their car? It could have been. It could have been because they could have done something to her. They could have been moving it around. So another thing about the car thing I don't like is that the county allows people to just call on people to tow cars after 3 days. Typically, most people, unless they're a vindictive pile of crap, rich people, and they're doing it to people who don't have a lot of money, or vindictive purposes like LAPD and them were doing. Yeah. So what they do, and how this was explained to me, is somebody can call it in. You can call in every day on somebody just to harass them, just for harassment. Okay. You could totally do it. But they go like this. Well, if you move your car just from that spot after those few days, then what do you care? Yeah, they're being a bunch of jerks. I would like this law to change for any 3-day bullshit. But if a car's there for a month, yeah, I would be like somebody abandoned their vehicle, mostly looking like that. So I think what happened was the with the parties here, because it sounds like that everybody has knowledge that this is going on at this point, that they figured that they could just move the car around you could move it around every week. Like most people don't really mess with that, and that the neighbors knew them, like at least knew that they were from the area. So more times than not, nobody's gonna call, okay? But they may have felt safe just parking a car somewhere a little while, moving it again. Just moving it just a couple cars down. It's fine. They can't tow it. So they may have been screwing around with that. And then by the time they left, they were saying a little after the July 29th. Well, they went on tour around August 5th, but they were already doing a show on August 4th. So they may have just somebody else was supposed to move it and they didn't, or they just figured it might be okay because they live there and everybody knows they do, and didn't really have that fear in them that it was going to get towed. They could be this stupid, you guys. Another thing they said in the clip was they covered smoke detectors. That usually means there's probably a bunch of pot smokers up in there, or cigarette smokers. So it doesn't mean anything. And them keep bringing up that she did drugs. If she's doing drugs, she didn't die because of an overdose. The whole alluding to an accidental death is bullshit. And if she has drugs in her system, somebody gave her the drugs, and it was used to more than likely it was used as something to do something foul. So we knew that as a kid. So we're not stupid. We're not playing this accidental shit game with drug usage, knocking little kids out and doing sex crimes or any other horrible violent act on a female. Then they were saying that why didn't they just take down his bloody shirt thing right away? Well, that actually falls into free speech. I just want to point that out. So, and they were acting like he's the first person that ever did some crap like that. And I'm like, I'm not going to say names right now, but you guys should know the people I've been talking about forever. They all do this kind of crap in different ways. Okay. There's a crime scene. So the issue was, I was like, well, there's a location. If anybody got chopped up or any bullshit like that, there's going to be a crime scene. It doesn't sound like the house they figured anything inside the house, because if they did, they're idiotic and they just ruined a crime scene. If they were in a desert area and did that, then okay, well, hypothetically then, and this is where he thinks. I don't know why he's thinking that. Just because the car's dirty doesn't mean anybody was in the desert, guys. I don't want him to throw you off because he's saying things that are like, wait a minute. And there's no way to prove XYZ. Now, he allegedly knows who moved the car on the date of this one thing, but it doesn't I don't know who it is. He knows, but everybody's pissed that he won't say. Can it have a potential to ruin the case? Sure. If it's a guy that's not even being mentioned right now and he starts saying it, then that person can do things to cover up things that they should not be right now. I mean, that they would hope not, but I don't know. There's just a lot of things to it. You have to understand that he acts as my dad, the investigator here, so I'm just like annoyed by him. Like, I'm annoyed by him. I was like, I was better than my dad, actually. I was like, let me come in here, daddy. Not to say that he doesn't have something of interest. It's just throwing me off because it's like, okay, you've seen something, but you're alluding to something you don't know is fact, such as why the wheel wells are off or it's dirty. So therefore it must mean they went to the desert. It's kind of like you could say, well, maybe they did. Maybe there's a crime scene in a desert area. If there is, then that's a good thing because then then it means you guys need to look somewhere. And if anybody was chopped up, then there would definitely be evidence in a desert area of some bullshit like this. And where, right? So your question is where and what day? Because you now have a timeline of January 2nd till July 29th. I believe it was probably after that January 2nd. If there was no additional people, here's the thing. I don't know what they have. If there's literally no other human that can identify seeing her after that date, then it's more than likely she was dead for 6 months. And then they were just doing this bullshit in the vehicle thing the whole time. And just pretending it didn't happen. They may have got another girl that looked like her so nobody questioned the story. Like, where's your girl? Right? They're claiming they didn't know she was a minor, which I call garbage on it. But the other portion, yeah, so I mean, that's as far as we can go on it this minute. But I would like more close-ups of the vehicle because I was trying to zoom in on something. The one thing I was able to was looking at the inner part of the tires that I was trying to figure out, but they weren't in the mud. It's actually pretty clean right there. So I don't know what he's talking about, but the upper thing he's saying is gone, but maybe it was gone before that. Not sure. It may have been for something that's not related to the case. It could be related to the case. Is it totally clean there? Because you could ask these questions. Is it cleaner there because was there blood splattered all over underneath the vehicle tire? How do we know? We don't know these things. So I'm looking at it going, how strange. It looks pretty clean right there, but everywhere else it looks like it was just the freaking dirt. So to me, it's not saying he drove in the desert, but it could be when they examine it, they could go, oh, look, they cleaned this like pretty good. They could tell. But when I'm looking at the photo, it's not filthy right there. Not even on the back end. You know, when you're driving and dirt goes flying up in the back, it didn't look dirty to me. So I would like to have more zoomed up photos of the vehicle, like closer in to examine, but there's only been a couple out here. I was trying to figure out what the speckles were. Was it bird shit? I couldn't figure out what it was. There's these little speckles all over it. And so you kind of want to go, what's that? Because that'll tell you, I could tell you, oh, it was underneath a tree. Or, oh, it was from some other thing, right? It could give you that information. The dirt on the vehicle can give you information. Yeah, stop saying that's her boyfriend. That's her child predator. And no, your child predator should not show up at your funeral. They're like, shouldn't he have shown up? I'm like, I don't know. Should every child predator show up at their victim's funeral? That's disgusting, you guys. What are we promoting here? Like, they have this double standard. It's like, that's her boyfriend. It's like, no, that's not her boyfriend. That's a child predator, and he's not in love with her. He is preying on a child, and he doesn't care. So, no, and no. And no, he shouldn't have been there. And no, that is two different reasons. He's being suspected of it by everyone. And then two, he's a child predator. And no. And he didn't protect her, right? Okay, so there's a million things here. And men are not our protectors, as you see. So, and they were not meant to be. They just think in their head, and then they never do, right? So, okay, so it's just this thing about it. So I was like, we need to stop calling child predators boyfriend and girlfriend, and stop blaming the little kids for them going there. Oh, and somebody else pointed out too, oh, she doesn't have a history of running away at random. Where was she going to? Oh yeah, her perpetrator. That's what I said. He groomed and suckered her into leaving her home. Like, here, you come with me, right? It's that thing. Because where else would she go? She didn't go anywhere else. as far as I have read, and that's the person that dangled, candy in front of a child. And that's typically that's kidnapping, by the way. Just want to keep it out there, and they really need to be stronger on pointing this out. Kidnapping does not need to include by force or a gun. It's done by coercion, just like any other story where a guy in a van is driving down the street and he's like, hey, your mom told me to give you a ride. And the kid gets in the car. So you victim blame the kid and say it's the kid's fault? No, that's kidnapping, and it's done by lure and fraud. Okay, so this would fall in line with kidnapping done by Laurel and him just being a child predator and taking advantage of somebody that has a bad home life and then lure the kid into a trap. The other case, it was a runaway, and I'm not exactly clear how she runs across this ridiculous family, but the family allowed the son, the older son that was like 24 or something, to go rape a child inside their home. That's a crime, and why they're not arrested, I'm just like, why did you give these people a show? It's so disgusting. And to talk about it like they're the biggest victims in the room. I'm like, no, you should have been arrested. Your mom or whoever set this up should have been arrested. And he should have been arrested. He would still be alive, right? He'd be in jail, but this wouldn't have happened. And then she should have got mental health treatment for being raped and abused by an adult man. She has nowhere to go. She's a child that ran away from home, so where's she going to go? Now she's stuck with these people, and, it was just a thing to the story, and I'm like, oh, no. Yes. Oh, and then the one with the evil twins. Oh, goodness. The evil twin story. They keep showing the evil twin story. They're like, yeah, the worst thing you could ever do is kill your mama. And I'm just sitting here going, it sounds like, there's probably more in the story. It sounded like grandma, like full-blown neglected the two girls, right? Full-blown. Nobody cares about that. The system don't care, nothing. So it's very hard to control, like, feral children, like a feral cat. If you find a feral cat out there, you don't just start, like, giving it all these rules and, you need to, let me pet you and stuff. It's going to, like, attack the shit out of me, right? Like, really. So when you find a feral animal, you have to, like, get it to trust, right? You're not going to hurt it. You're not going to do anything. And then you kind of work with the cat. And then eventually it's, like, hopefully sane again. Sometimes they aren't, but they're never sane. But no, you have to work with them, right? Like, slowly. This sounded weird. Like, they claimed that their mom was doing I don't know, getting drunk and, being corporal punishment like. And I'm like, that's about the worst thing you can ever do to any child, regardless of what their problems are. And so if you start in with phone for you, and their whole life they've been able to do whatever they want, they're going to fight you. And they probably have a right to at that point. I'm not for the take your phone away people. But it sounded like she wanted to come in and start doing corporal punishment on them and be ultra strict, like the complete polar opposite of neglect. But both those things tend to go together anyways, like neglect and corporal punishment, and then the kids come out as serial killer. Yeah. So it sounded like that, and then there were some weird parts in it where it sounded like one of the girls is way more evil than the other. And then they just kind of protect each other because they only have each other to go with. So, yeah, I was like, it sounds like a major system failure, because why would they give the kids back to the mom where they already had an incident where they all attacked each other? And then the girls didn't get help. Like, there was an additional thing. Like, why would they put it back to the grandma who's a neglectful, what? Because that's why they're like that. So the grandma was the last person on earth that these kids should have ever been with. And then they bring him back over there, and then allegedly it sounds like one of them decided that they're gonna like go on this murder fest, and then ends up having both of them having to protect each other and this bullshit going on. So yeah, I was like, that's a depressing case. Like, I don't even want to sit there and go, oh, these evil, evil, evil things, because it's sort of like, at the end of the day, they're kids and they can only be the best they can be in the environment that they're in. And every adult in the story is idiotic, like terrible, causing this, right? So I was like, unfortunately, and so now they get prison for, I don't know how long, 20, I don't know. I really don't know. It's awful. And then one of the sisters should, I believe she should have been more honest about the story because, I don't know. I wouldn't go down for my sister doing some bullshit like that. But it just sounded like they all just went into a denial, and then the other one just decided to paint herself as innocently as the other one. I don't know what was happening. It just sounded like they started an argument, and it was probably like, get your asses up, like probably something like that. And then the one is the one that decides, I'm gonna jump her ass and knock her over the head with the vape. Okay, so that's the one that you need to be careful of, and I don't know which one it is. But when they were speaking in the vehicle, the one, I was like, are you telling me she just lies out loud between themselves? Like, they think they're talking to themselves. And she's like, this is bullshit. I shouldn't go down for something I didn't do. So the minute she said that, I was like, okay, so I have a feeling that's the one that actually didn't hit her over the head with the vase. And then the other one goes in bullshit. Well, me either. I go, that's the one. And she didn't say nothing. So yeah, I wouldn't try. Maybe I don't know. You have a evil sister like that. You could even be scared of her too, and then just being like, that shit. I don't know, but they need. Hopefully, they've been separated that whole time in prison. But I don't know. I don't know. It's everything all wrong. Everything all wrong. Mostly coming out of a neglectful home. Everything all wrong. You can't do that. And they're smart too. They're like, why can my mom do it and I can't? It's like, yeah, maybe your mom shouldn't have been doing that, but it doesn't sound like mom's explaining it to you why she could go to a bar and you're not an adult yet. I was like, you can't even drive, so shut up. No, but I mean, it doesn't. They're just like, we don't get it. Yeah, it's like they talk like that. So you have to really work. You have to keep them away from the evil grandma. You can't have evil grandma talking to them because evil grandma is going to enable them. So when they're talking like that, they're going to tell her a different story, and then evil grandma is going to enable them, and then they'll manipulate. Everybody in the story will manipulate grandma and them. So nope, they should have had no contact with grandma. They should have had. Oh man, they should have been in a program. They shouldn't have been. I don't know what the hell school they were at to prior. It almost sounds like they had a whole bunch of gangbanger girls up in their school. Like just something weird about the whole thing. But they needed to be removed from the environment that they were in and parented properly. And you have to connect with them first before you start in, I'm taking away your phone and doing all this crap. It's just like a dictator, right? You don't want a dictator. Nobody wants a dictator. Who wants a dictator? Raise your hand. Well, Christians do, but most sane people don't want a dictator. So you're not going to respond well. And that's a kid too. They're like, shit, what is this? So, but if you were to home them properly and just take it slowly, get them connected, let them know you're safe, you're fine, and, just a connection there. And then you introduce them into like why you don't do things because like you're talking to another adult too. It's like, because there's some child predators out. Like, they didn't even have these conversations. They're like, why can't we be with old men? It's like, I think somebody missed a conversation with your kids here. Um, you know, we didn't have the conversation either. Like the older parents did not do that. And so they really don't get it, is the truth. And so you have to really sit down with them. Like they're asking it, they're like, why? It's like, well, I think that's a proper question. Why? Don't you think that's a logical question from a kid asking why? It's like, yeah, you don't know. So let me explain it to you. You know, but it's the manner of how you speak with them. But yeah, I mean, it's not often that the kids will go kill the parents, but there's been quite a few female cases of that. Not a lot. Like it's not like this like thing about it, but yeah, when they said the dynamic, I was like, oh yeah, you're wrong. Like you could see why it happened. Jumping their mother. Man. Ooh. Yeah, I just so much with that. If I was afraid of the kids and thought they were gonna kill me after that first go, they would not be allowed in my home. But I don't think that would happen to me because I'm not into corporal punishment shit, so it would have been it I don't believe I you know, it's hard to say completely, but I don't think it would have ever landed there. The only time that started, like the one kid that was really troubled, the only reason why she started getting really funky with me one day was because she seen her mom do it one time. And but if her mom was removed from the story and then the kid understood, I didn't have a chance to go talk with the kid and be like, let me explain this to you. I didn't say you're a bad kid. I didn't say you said anything bad to me. Because that's what she was thinking. I was saying that her mom told her to do some bullshit to me and used her kid to start a fight with me, but her kid doesn't understand. And so then when I confronted her mom, I said, don't use your kid like that. So then the kid automatically took it that I said she was a bad kid and she said something foul or something. Well, what she said was something bad from the perspective of her mother. But she used her little kid, who was like 12 or 13, to go say some shit to me that she goes, my mom said, don't take anything, you know, some bullshit like that. She said, my mom said not to do this. And I'm like, that's interesting. Shouldn't your mom be telling me that and not you being used like that, right? But the kid didn't understand, okay? But I wasn't gonna have a conversation with her like that because her mom's there. Her mom's like fucking psychotic. And so then she sees her mom starting to get funky, like she's gonna fight me. And I go, I'm gonna call it cops, man. So then the daughter freaks out because the mom, I guess, and neighbors call the cops on the girl all the time. So she's like I get her bullshit, the kid, but I wasn't gonna call the cops on the kid. I'm not gonna do all these things, but she's very PTSD from that. So she's like, why did you call a cop coming up to me like that? And I was like, oh girl, no, we ain't going on like that. But I'm not gonna get into a fight with her because then it just like enables like somehow this is an okay action. And I just ignored her. Like, because I don't want to get into it with her. Because it would consist of me having to have a conversation with her. And then her mom's going to get mad. Her mom's going to say some other bullshit and gaslight her again because she always does that. And then it just causes a whole other thing. That girl's trouble because of her mother. Totally. It sucked because she never got like that with me. But that was the only reason why, you guys. Because she seen it was like an okay thing to do. And then because her mom's chronic abuse on her, she reacted to like me saying I'm going to call the cops on her mom. And then mom didn't react to about to get in a fight with me. Well, she shouldn't have done it in front of her kid like that. But I go, look, this is what was happening in the home privately. Because for a kid to act like that it's because you're violent ass. And you don't see it, you know, in the public of those two's dynamic. And I go, yeah, but I heard that shit like for a long time. And she comes out to me like, you know, I'm so innocent and it's my family that's a bunch of nuts. They're the ones calling the cops. They're the ones doing this. I go, this is insane. I heard her say it. You can't live in this house if you're going to act like that, I'm going to have you take it away again. That's what she said to the daughter. So the daughter is really like insecure and abandonment issues, a number of things. So it's also a threat. If I say I'm going to call the cops on the mom, like I'm going to get the mom taken away, that girl's going to go wear it, right? Yeah, I think there was a number of things in that mix of. She would have lost her kid for good, all of her kids. So I just had to stop her from getting violent. So I did, but she got violent. That's the crazy thing. I go, I didn't know she was like all violent. I go, that's the first time I seen her be acting like a gangbanger. I go, that's weird. In front of her kid, I go, that see, you got caught right here. And if you do it, that's all I need to do. And we were in front of a busy street, so I was like, okay, I'm kind of safe because there's gonna be a million witnesses. But if we were in private, oh, I wouldn't have wanted to make that threat because if she could have done anything and then I wouldn't be able to ever call, right? I was like, yeah. So I was like, no, I was okay because she's looking around because there's tons of fucking people outside, like major busy street, tons of people. And I go, yeah. And it stopped her. And then she later apologized. Later. I go, but I didn't call. But I know at the minute I did that, that would have been the end of you. And so I give her a chance, but she caused her kid now to be funky at the time to be funky. I go, yeah, but your kid was never funky with me. Your kid was always like manipulating me to use shit. I was like, no, she was always like overly, can we do this one thing? Just for the yeah, I was like totally like that. I saw the dynamic and it's depressing and there's nothing I can do because that was years and years and years of child abuse. Years of child abuse and neglect because mom was doing drugs at some point. So, yeah, I mean, like I would say there's other adults I would have wanted to get into a funk with that little kid. I go, you can't, man, because she's dealing with depression. She's dealing with an unstable home life. And then you don't want to enable the conduct like her mom does to her. Because to not enable it, it just shows like I'm not a violent person. I'm not gonna get into a beat. Like I don't want to egg into that whole thing. You shouldn't see that conduct on a child anyway, so I can't act like that. And you have to keep in mind they're a kid, they're a kid, they're a kid, they're a little kid. I mean, they really are. They're not even able to drive yet. So it's like, oh my God. Okay, so they think they're smart. Like they think they're smart, but they're not. But no, I feel really bad for this girl. I did. She was smart. I can't say she's stupid, but she's not smart like an adult. But she was yeah, she's like a parent. She's like the parent to the mom. And then, there's something to that. Yeah, the whole thing's just wrong. They kept throwing it onto the kid like it's her fault. Like, oh, no, 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 it's totally her mom. 1000% it was her mother. And they never looked at these cases properly. And I go, no, it's the mom. And she doesn't need to hit her, but she was violent or something weird because one day she was trying to say, like, the mom was telling the daughter, like, don't hit me. And they're not even, you could hear them, like, they're not close to each other, but they're yelling back and forth through, like, a bathroom and some other room. And then she's like, I didn't try to hit you. What the fuck? You like going on this thing about it and you can hear it, but the mom's like gaslighting her. It was weird. And I was like, I'm listening. You didn't hear any of this, nothing. And I was like, mind you, when you're not like visually seeing it, but there was they didn't even sound like they were face to face. And then she said some bullshit and then she's like, I didn't, stop lying. What are you going on about? Like the daughter told her that, like right in her face. Then you hear it like that. Cause she's like, what? Stop making stuff up. That's what she told her mom. And her mom does make stuff up. Her mom did it to me. So I was like, oh my God, they're not catching this. They're not catching it. They're not catching it. And the kid can't do anything. She's under the parental control of Psycho. And so she's just fighting it. And then eventually it leads to a blowout, which it should, because even I and other neighbors did with the same mother. So if adults can't deal with the mom, then how do you think the child's dealing with her? Right? So I was like, yeah, you guys gave me the biggest education I had ever needed, because we're on these topics of these dynamics with kids and their parents and whatnot. And unfortunately, that kid is going to probably land up in jail, to be honest. And it should never happen. And then they drag her out of the state. And so now, I mean, who's watching that, right? So then you get a guy like this preying on children. Typically, you could get a situation where you find out like their uncle had been molesting this guy forever, and then there's going to be a tail off as to why he preys on children, okay? But it's just the same dynamic. It's just different outcomes.